Okay, guys, I'm just going to come out and say it. As software developers, we do what we want when we want. And whether we are grabbing chicken breast and broccoli out of the refrigerator for our morning workout because we got to look good, or whether we are grabbing strings out of an array, we are picky. We are choosy. We're not going to grab a nasty potato. We're going to grab the chicken breast and broccoli because we're software developers and that's what we want. But when we're grabbing all of these nutritious, delicious meals out of our refrigerator, we begin to notice that we are grabbing them in kind of ugly ways. I mean, look how unsightly this actual array access is. We have to go into here and we actually have to grab these strings individually. And as you can see, this opens us up to a lot of mistakes. It opens us up to a lot of repetition. And what if there was a magical way we could turn all of these array accesses into one line that looks great? Well, now this is a possibility because we have actual object and array destructuring, and it looks just like this. So if we wanted to access our array, we would not actually do it this way. We would use object destructuring, and it would allow us to individually pull out the chicken breast and our broccoli, store them on the left side of the variable in an array format just like this, and then we can quickly access our chicken breast and broccoli and have them as neat little variables that we can use throughout our program just like this. But the thing is that there's many ways to do this. There's a lot of syntax that you have to get used to, and we're going to go into VS Code and I'm going to show you all the ways that we can actually use object and array destructuring. Okay, so first things first, let's start out with the easiest examples that we can come up with. And what we're going to do is we're just going to initialize a couple of variables up here, and then we are going to, of course, destructure them. So the way that destructuring works is that it destructures in sequence or order. So whatever is right here is going to go in the first one, whatever is going to go right here in the second one. And if you switch the B and the A, it is going to be in the same order. So if you switch them, 10 is going to be the B, 20 is going to be the A. And as you can see, it is done in order. Now, if I go down here, if I log it, watch what happens. It is going to show the 10 and the 20. So A is equal to 10, 20 is equal to B. Enough said. So let's do a more real life example. I'm going to create an array of my favorite snakes. I am going to create a garden snake. I'm going to create a cobra, and I'm going to create a rat snake. I don't know if rat snakes are actually a real snake, but I thought it was a cool name, so I just kind of went with it. Next, we are going to destructure. Now remember, it is done in order. So the first one is going to be the garden snake. The second one is going to be cobra. Then we have rat snake. So first we are going to have a garden snake. That will be our first variable. Then we are going to have our cobra. Then we are going to have our rat snake. And if you just change this to snake, it really doesn't matter what you call it. It is going to be, like I said, done in order. So I've said that a lot of times. I will stop saying the order thing. Okay, then we're going to go on the right side and we are going to take our array and we are going to assign it on the right side. And this is where all of the actual destructuring. So what's going to do is it's going to pull all the values out of the actual array, put them over on the left side, and it's going to transfer them. That is an array example. That's pretty easy. But another very common example that we are going to see is object destructuring. So object destructuring, let's just have our very first snake variable. So I'm going to create a snake variable. We're going to call this a rat snake for the name. Then we're going to give it an age of 2 years old. It's a pretty old snake. And we are going to set the location or the state. In America, we have states. I'm going to set the state to Ohio. Okay, it's a snake from Ohio. Who would have guessed? All right, so now we have a very fancy object. Let's go down here and let's destructure it. So with object destructuring, we are going to use curly braces because it's an object, but the same principle still applies. On the left side, we are going to have our variables that we are going to name. We will have age, we will have state, and we are going to assign this to snake. And if we console log our values here, so if we go console log dot name, age, state, let's go ahead and see what we get. And as you can see, we have our name, we have our age, he's a 2-year-old snake, and then we have our state. So we have just successfully object destructured. But let's do a very real world example. Let's do an example that you would see in React. This is going to be a very common pattern. So let's have another object. Let's say we have a file and it has an extension of PDF. We have a PDF file here, and it is going to have a name of, I don't know, resume. So we're saying you're sending your resume, and it will have a size of 100, just a random size here. So what if we want to actually pass this into a function? Let's just say we'll have a file log here. So I'll have an extension, I will have a name, and I will also have a size just like this. And within React, you'll commonly see this in React. And what this does is it makes it so that you don't have to actually type out the whole entire parameter, and you can just use these variable names right here instead of having a parameter like file and having to type extension like this. Instead of having to have another parameter that you would have to dot into, you can just quickly use your variables as you please, as I'm about to do right now. So we can just type in name. So the file name dot, let's say extension, just like this, is of, and quickly just use our variables just like I said, and we don't have to have file.size like this or file.name like this. We can just quickly use the variables and go along on our merry way without having to repeat ourselves. Hence why we actually use destructuring. That's like pretty much the whole entire reason that we use destructuring. And then we can pass in our file like we have before. And once again, because it's an object, if we didn't have destructuring, we would have to dot into it. But because we have this fancy object destructuring right here, we don't actually have to. So if I go ahead and log it, and I will say console.log file.log, just like this. And as you can see in the console, the file.resume, I'll get rid of this right here, is of size 100. And we have just object destructured like we would see in React. Anyways, hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and as always, thank you for watching.